So you want to be a shadower. So you want to attack enemies from the shadows to deal more damage. Well, then you've come to the right class. In first job, we have Double Stab, which is one of the worst first job skills you could give to any class, aside from Power Strike, with Old Warriors, or Somersault Kick with Buccaneer. Oh my god, this skill is terrible. So what I would recommend is actually to use a claw and use Lucky 7 until you hit level 30. And then put into the other skills that you would. Because you're never going to use Double Stab again after first job. But let me just show you how bad this skill is. Sure, it attacks fast. It attacks quickly. But the hitbox on it is so small. And it only attacks one enemy. It's just... why would you give this to a class? It doesn't even mob. It's so bad, and you take more damage than you do, and oh god, I just didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. But, I got through it, and if I can get through it, so can you. So that is the first job skill that you're going to be using. Have fun with that. Well, except for you can use Lucky 7, which is long distance, and just better overall because you don't use as many potions. But if you want to have like the true Shadower experience and go through all the toughness and whatever, then go ahead and use Double Stab. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. Alright, so then we move on to Haste, and Haste is a buff that applies to you and your party that increases your speed by 40 and your jump by 20. Also has the passive ability to give you 20 extra speed. And Dark Sight. So when you're in Dark Sight, you can stay in the shadows for 200 seconds. And when you're in Dark Sight, you can't be hit by pretty much anything, except for percent HP and special... well, yeah, I guess percent HP. But magic attacks can't hit you. Like, pretty much nothing can hit you. Very useful for, let's say, if you're fighting Magnus and those little orbs come down. I haven't actually tested this myself, but I think I heard that Dark Sight also ignores Lotus's falling debris. So it's good for that as well. Dark Sight's just an amazing skill for thieves. And when Dark Sight is deactivated, the cooldown is increased per attack dodged. So basically when you dodge an attack, it gives you 3 seconds of cooldown when you deactivate Dark Sight. And it stacks up to 5 times, so you can have up to 15 seconds of cooldown for Dark Sight. Next is Flash Jump, and Flash Jump, very, very good. Goes very far, and you can use it twice, so you can always change your direction. And the rest are passive. So moving on to second job, we have Savage Blow. Now this is much better than Double Stab. Because now it hits 3 times and it mobs. So much better. And it attacks quickly. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Like, I actually really liked second job Shadower. Or it's Bandit, of course, but I actually like it a lot. It was a lot better than first job, I'll tell you that much. You actually get a mobbing skill, it attacks quickly. Only does 3 lines, but that's okay because of how fast it attacks. Next we have Critical Growth, which is a passive that gives you 3% crit and 1% crit damage, which is capped at 10%, every 5 seconds. So right now I have 100% crit rate because it's already reached the max. Once I attack though, then it resets back down to the original crit rate that I have. And then every 5 seconds after that, it'll continue to go up and up and up until it reaches 100 again. And then it stays at 100 until I attack. Or until I use up... yeah, until I attack, basically. The crit damage, even though it's capped at 10%, when it reaches its cap, it stays at the cap until the crit rate resets. So when you're at 100% and then you attack and it goes back down, then it goes back to 1%, and then it keeps getting higher until it goes to 10. So next we have Steel. And when you use Steel, you have a 47% chance, or 49 when you max it. I'm actually going to say to leave Savage Blow at level 19 and max Steel, because you're going to be using Steel later on, you will not be using Savage Blow later. So when you use steal, there's a 49% chance to steal a potion from enemies, or to have them drop a potion. And when you use the potion, if it's from a normal enemy, it'll recover your HP. I believe it says not HP, recovers your MP. I believe it says HP as well, but I've never actually seen it recover HP. So let me just go ahead and steal a potion from this. And still I got MP even when my MP is full. So, I don't know, maybe it's a small chance that you get a percent, or you get a HP potion. But I haven't gotten one yet. But if you steal from a boss, then it's a potion that fully heals your HP and MP, and gives you a 30 attack boost. So definitely use it for bossing. Oh, it can also stun enemies, and it hits 4 enemies. Stuns the enemies for 5 seconds. And then we have Booster, which increases your attack speed by 2. Meso Guard. When you use Meso Guard, it reduces the damage that you take by half, but it also takes half of the guarded damage that you take from your Mesos. So let's say I was supposed to take 1000 damage if I don't have it active. And then when I do activate it, I only take 500 damage. But it'll take 250 Mesos out of my, out of how many Mesos I have. As compensation, I guess, I don't know. But it's actually not that many Mesos. You're not going to be losing too much. It's especially for the amount of damage that you'll be taking in second job. It's worth it. So yeah, let's put it even lower. You take 10 damage. Well, okay, you know what? I don't have to do the math for you guys. You got it. You understand. Alright, so next we have passives. I will go over Shield Mastery though. It gives you 50 attack and 20% avoidability, and 110% defense, just for having a shield equipped. Although you can also have a secondary equipped, but shields, you can scroll them, you can enhance them. They're just better to use overall. But if you don't have one, secondaries are a lot more accessible. You can just buy them from the NPC. Or if you want to get a low level shield, I believe Lith Harbor sells a Stolen Fence. I was using one for a while before I got the current shield I'm using. And that is it for second job. So we move on to third job. So in third job, you get Midnight Carnival. And this skill is basically just your bossing skill for third job if you want to go bossing in third job or kill an elite boss or something. It does 7 lines and attacks only 1 enemy. That's pretty much it. I mean, it's not really that great. I never really used it, but yeah, that's Midnight Carnival. Then we have Phase Dash. This is a new mobbing skill, and you can either use it alone, or do what I did, which is probably not the best choice. But you can use Phase Dash and then just to group enemies up, and then use Savage Blow to kill them. But I think that just spamming Phase Dash is enough damage to take out enemies. And what it does is it pushes enemies back, and yeah, I think that's it. It can also be used as a dash skill, so you can get out of the way of certain attacks. Pushes up to 8 enemies and does 2 lines. Then we have Meso Explosion. And this will only explode the Mesos that drop from Pickpocket, which is a skill later on in third job that I'll go over. But you can have up to 15 coins on the ground, and for every coin you do 200% damage, and it hits up to 10 enemies. The animation for it is pretty much non-existent, so you can use it in the middle of a combo or an attack or whatever. It's doesn't do enough damage to be viable, but I mean, it does go. The coins do damage through weapon cancel, and they don't get you killed through damage reflect. So I guess that's when you can use it. Or if Magnus is out of reach, or any enemies out of reach, you can use Meso Explosion to attack them, because the Mesos fly everywhere and they just hit whatever's in the area. Next we have Dark Flare, and any enemy within the rectangle that the star, makes will take damage. And if you take damage, or your party members take damage within the square, or actually not even within the square. if the enemy's in the rectangle and you take damage from the enemy that's in the rectangle, it'll reflect the damage back to them. And the reflection damage is 1,300%. Pickpocket. So this is the skill I was talking about before, and what it does is when you hit an enemy, there's a 30% chance to have the enemy drop mesos. This is a toggle skill, so you can turn it on and off. Has no duration, but it can create up to 15 mesos at max. And when you take damage, you can drop up to 5 mesos. Like not from your pocket, but just you just drop like 5 mesos just appear. And or I think it actually takes a portion. No, it's just random. So when you take damage, it can bring up to 5 coins. While they're trying to hit me, I might as well just do this. So, but yeah, when you attack enemies, they also drop coins. And you'll see on the top right, it'll say how many coins are on the ground before you can use Meso Explosion. So you want to make sure that it goes to 15 and then use it. And there's Meso Explosion. So there's pretty much no animation, which means you can use it in the middle of attacking, basically. Like I'm attacking here, and then I just go, whoop, Meso Explosion. So it's like while I'm attacking, I'm also using Meso Explosion. I don't really find Meso Explosion to be useful, except for the cases where I told you where, you can attack through weapon cancel and whatnot. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really like it that much. So next is Shadow Partner, which doubles your lines, and the extra lines do 70% of your normal damage. Let's see, what else do we got? Advanced Dark Sight. So there's a 15% chance to stay in Dark Sight when you're attacking. Yeah, it's only 15, so I'm probably not going to get it to... Oh, there it is, I activated it. So 15% chance to stay in Dark Sight. And if you want to stay in Dark Sight 100% of the time, use Smokescreen or Shadow Veil. Smokescreen being a 4th job skill, and Shadow Veil being your 170 hyper. When you're in the area of the area of the skills, you can stay in Dark Sight and attack for 100% chance. Like you're always in Dark Sight as long as that skill is above you or over you. There's also a 15% chance to automatically trigger Dark Sight. So when you get hit, 15% chance you will go into Dark Sight. And when you're in Dark Sight, your final damage is increased by 5%. Then there's Into Darkness. When you use it, you'll teleport behind the enemy and go into Dark Sight. So this can also be used as a mobility skill. Right now I can't flash jump up there, but if I were to use Into Darkness, I can teleport behind the enemy and end up on the platform. And of course it automatically puts you into Dark Sight, so you get the 5% final damage. And the rest are passive. Meso Mastery just makes it so enemies drop 20% mesos. Meso Guard reduces 10% extra damage. I think it says Meso Guard damage guard rate, but I mean Meso Guard always guards, I think. Or maybe it doesn't always guard. But either way, it increases it by 10%, the chance that it guards. Meso Explosion's damage is increased by 20%. So then we move on to 4th job, and we get Assassinate, and I love this skill. It does a lot of damage on the first hit, so you press it once, and it does 3 lines with 550% damage, which is really nice. And then you press it one more time, and it does a finisher move, which does 700% damage. The thing about the finisher move is, when you're in Dark Sight, its damage is increased by 150%, and then the final damage is increased even further if your body count, which is this skill right here, it's also a 4th job skill. When this has 3 on it, it's increased by another 100%, which used to be 150%, leaving you with 1,000% damage on the final hit, but now it's 950%, It's not that big of a nerf, but still, I don't understand why they did it. Shadow Word was never really too broken. But yeah, the first hit, and then the second hit. So then we have Boomerang Stab. This used to be called Boomerang Step, but whatever. And what it does is, while you're using it, you have invincibility. So during this animation, you have invincibility. So if you see an attack coming and you just don't want to take the damage, like Pink Bean slamming his tail on the ground, reduces your HP and MP to 1, while also sealing you. Very annoying to deal with. So before, like, as you see it coming, just Boomerang Step. Or Boomerang Stab, I mean. And you'll avoid it, while also doing damage. But this is your mobbing skill. It stuns at a 90% chance for 4 seconds. Has pretty good reach too. Does a lot of damage as well. Prime Critical. This just increases the second job skill. So instead of getting 3% crit rate and 1% crit damage, you get 6% crit rate per 5 seconds, and 2% crit damage every 5 seconds as well. The cap is still 10% though, but at least it gets there faster. Then we have Sudden Raid, which does a lot of damage 3 times to not really the whole map, but you can use it in the air to make it hit the whole map. So like I can jump right here, use it, and then it'll hit all 3 of those platforms. And it'll also do damage over time. And that's all I can really say about it. Doesn't have any special properties. Maple Warrior. Increases you and your party members' all stats by 15%. Smokescreen. When you use it, you and your party don't take damage, if you're in the smokescreen anyway. And as you can see, I'm not in Dark Sight, but I'm not taking damage. However, if you're in Dark Sight and you're in the smokescreen, you can attack and not leave Dark Sight, like, until it goes away, or until you leave the smokescreen. So the 15% chance to stay in Dark Sight goes to 100% when you're in smokescreen. Of course, if you leave it, then it goes back to being normal. So when you use smokescreen, make sure that you use Dark Sight. On top of leaving you invincible, it also reduces percent HP damage by 10% for you and your party. Oh, and it also increases your crit damage by 20%. I didn't know that. Cool. Lasts for 30 seconds, and the cooldown is 150 seconds. Next we have Hero's Will, which just cures you of abnormal status, and leaves you immune to abnormal status for 3 seconds after you use it. And then there's Shadower Instinct. And when you use this skill, you gain 40 attack. And then per body count, which is this again, per body count, you get 10 extra attack. So right now it's at 2, so I would get 60 attack if I use it. The thing is that it uses up the body count, so every time you attack, without Assassinate's final attack, so you can use Assassinate, but as soon as you use this skill, if your body count is at 3, it'll use up the third count. So as you can see, it's at 3 right now, so just use Shadower Instinct, and you'll gain 70% damage, or 70% attack. So next we move on to Hyper Passives. And because I'm not level 200 yet, I don't have these maxed, but what I'm planning on doing is doing Boomerang Stab damage increase, Boomerang Stab number of lines increase, and all 3 Assassinate. So I increase the damage, the boss damage, and defense ignore. Now we move on to the active hypers. Flip of the Coin is one of my favorite hyper skills. So when you... Okay, so when you do a crit hit, like when you do... Oh my god. Let me calm down. I'm too excited. Oh, okay. So it has no cooldown. It has... What was the duration on it? Doesn't really matter because it doesn't have a cooldown. But 2 minutes. So you have the skill for 2 minutes. When you activate it, or you can only activate it after you do a critical hit. So I just used it, but I haven't done any damage yet, so I can't actually use it yet. But as soon as I do a crit hit, I can activate it again. And it stacks up to 5 times. So you know, after doing 5 crits, you pretty much have it. So now mine is all the way stacked. So for each stack, you gain 5% damage and 10% crit rate. How amazing is that? This skill helps itself. Because, you know, for every crit that you do, you get to use the skill. But it's so great! Like, okay, here, let me get rid of all my buffs right now. So without any buffs, I'm at 86k range, right? So let me go ahead and buff up. And because I have the body count to 3, I'm gaining 70 attack. And then there's the rest of my buffs. I'm at 106k range. So let's go ahead and get our coin flip. And just look at the crit rate, look at the percent, like the damage. Oh, it's just such a great increase. Such a great increase. So I went from having, you know, 5% crit rate base to having 55. It's so good. So good. Alright, so next we move on to Shadow Veil. And this is a great mobbing skill, but it also has the same effect as... Let me not say that, because then people might think it leaves you invincible. But, yeah, it's a great skill to just put down and do continuous damage to an area, but also if you attack within it while you're in Darksight, you don't leave Darksight. So you get the extra final damage from being in Darksight. And like I said, it also makes for a great area of effect skill. And at level 200, you get Epic Adventurer, which just increases your you and your party's damage by 10%. Only applies to other explorers in the party. So you and other explorers get your damage increased by 10%, which can stack with other explorers. And that's it for their skills. So let me show you some of the mobbing, and then we'll go into bossing. So yeah, if you what am I trying to say? If you use the Shadower's Instinct skill and you don't have the body count of 3, just attack 3 times and then use it again. That's all you have to do to get the 70 attack. But the mobbing, not too bad. It's very strong. Very strong. As you can see, my range is only 127k. And I'm doing 2 mils. It's pretty good. I mean, that's only counting per line. That's not like... That's not all the damage I'm doing. Alright, so let's move on to the bossing. Oh god, it's like close to 4 mils. Jeez. This class is really strong. It's really underrated. Because I'm not level 200, I don't think that I can beat Von Leon yet. I mean, I probably can, but it'll take a while, so I'm not even going to bother yet. But for their bossing, Assassinate is the go-to skill. Make sure that you're coin flipping to make sure you get the 5 stacks at all times. And then for the body count, if you had used Shadower's Instinct when you didn't have any count, then just wait until you get to 3 and then recast it. But always make sure that you have the coin flip. As for Meso Explosion, I won't be able to show you it, really. Or at least how it's useful. But, yeah, if an enemy does weapon cancel, feel free to use Meso Explosion. So on the next boss, I'll show you Smokescreen and Shadow Veil. And that's pretty much the bossing. So Smokescreen, go into Darksight, so that you get the extra damage. And then use Shadow Veil, stay in Darksight, and that's pretty much how you boss as a Shadower. Maybe I could do Von Leon. Well, anyway, I'm not going to attempt to. I love this guy. If he teleports, you could just teleport right back to him. So, you know, this annoying boss, not so annoying anymore, because you can teleport to him. And that's Shadowverse bossing. Maybe once I hit level 200, I'll do this again if you really want to see it. Won't be too much different, I'll just have more damage, and I'll kill these guys faster. But that's it for now. So thanks for watching, and hope to see you in the next video.